Hello. One of the most common questions that I'm asked at one of my talks is how do I source the postcards that I research? And of course, they can be bought from secondhand bookshops, car boots, that kind of place. But the main source of postcards is eBay. And of course, you can buy random postcards from eBay and research them. Or if you're looking for specific locations or addresses, names, eBay is wonderful in that you can save a search for whatever it is you're looking for. And when there is a match next week, next month, next year, you will receive an email from eBay. So you don't have to keep checking every day to see if a card has been uploaded. And this is so useful if you're doing your own family history research. Perhaps you're looking for a specific location that connects to your family, or perhaps it's your family's name, and you'll find something that perhaps has been sent to them, addressed to them. So unless you've got a very, very common name and an address which actually doesn't help that much, you might find that you're successful. Now, many years ago, when I was researching postcards for my second book, Second Delivery, I had a postcard that was sent to a young lad in America. And through my research, I've discovered that he was actually the grandson of the first secretary of Great Ormond Street Hospital. Now, that hospital opened in the 1850s, and this lad's grandfather, Samuel Whitford, was secretary there for more than 30 years. He was a silversmith by trade, and he ran a successful business. There were three generations of silversmiths in the family. And through the research into Samuel Whitford's life, using the archives at Great Ormond Street Hospital, I've discovered other things about the hospital. Many of us know about J.M. Barrie giving the royalties to Peter Pan to the hospital. That would have been obviously decades after Samuel Whitford's involvement in the hospital. And when you read the history of Great Ormond Street Hospital, it's usually the stories of the first matron, the doctors, J.M. Barrie that you read about. And Samuel Whitford is often overlooked. And this is something actually that the archivist who helped me at Great Ormond Street Hospital told me, that very few people ever ask him for information about Samuel Whitford. So it was lovely for me as a researcher to be able to research his story and share it through talks. Now, when I was looking for a postcard of Great Ormond Street Hospital, I was searching on eBay, and I came across two postcards which were sent to children who were actually in the hospital. And so they were patients at the time the cards were sent to them. And through various modes of research, I was able to reveal their stories. Young Doris, she was admitted and treated successfully and grew up to become a secretary. Harry wasn't such a happy ending. He was admitted with a disease that affected his kidneys, and he had a very short life. He was the son of a policeman, and the family lived in London, as did Doris's family, and she was the daughter of a draper's porter. So those were two stories that I researched years and years ago. But the story of Great Ormond Street Hospital features in one of my talks. And when I gave this talk to a group in Dorchester last week, I came home and I had my eBay emails waiting for me. And in with them was a match for Great Ormond Street Hospital, because I have kept that as a saved search. And over the years, I get matches to perhaps nurses who were in the hospital. And I haven't been able to do anything with that research. I haven't been able to take it any further. But last week's was quite remarkable. Now, this is the card that was sent to Harry Preble that I researched all those years ago. And it was sent to him, I discovered, by his brother who served in the Navy. So in amongst the emails I had from eBay were a match for Great Ormond Street Hospital. Now, this was with a different seller to the one I had bought that first postcard from. And there were two postcards, and there we are. And they were both sent by different people to young Harry Prebble in Great Ormond Street Hospital, which is quite remarkable, isn't it? Obviously, I've bought them, that's why I have them here. Now, the first one I'm going to talk about is this one, which you probably won't be able to read in any great detail, but I was able to discover that the card was sent to him by his auntie Emma, and she was the sister of Harry's father. So that we know who sent this card. This other card was slight, obviously different handwriting. You can see there, and that was sent to Harry by his parents. My dear little son, we were sorry to hear you were not so well yesterday, but hope you are better today. Did cousin Joe write to you yesterday? Good night and God bless from your mother and father. That's such a sad card because obviously when you know the story, it adds so much to it. And I often wonder, people keep postcards for a number of reasons. And the cards that Harry received and then were kept by various members of the family were a reminder of a very, very sad part of their history, their story. And they were reminders, weren't they, of the love for this young boy and what happened to him. Now, the seller of those more recent cards had other cards for sale sent to members of the Prebble family. And I didn't buy those. I just chose the two which were sent to Harry. So I now have three. And I'm going to add those to the talk, those two new ones, so that it adds something to Harry's story, obviously, but also it reinforces how important using eBay can be if you're looking for specific things. So I hope you found that useful. I hope you found that interesting, and perhaps you'll set up some searches on eBay yourself. And who knows what you might discover, because these postcards that I research, they've all been disposed of. They've all left the family, the people who originally received them, for a number of reasons. You know, we can't keep everything, can we? And there's always someone like me that's prepared to buy some. So you never know what has actually been put on eBay. And the sellers will add the details into the description. So whereas a postcard collector might be interested in that image, you might be interested in what's on the reverse. And for me, obviously, that's where the stories are. Anyway, I hope you found that useful, and perhaps it's inspired you to do some more postcard searching. Now, one final shameless piece of advertising. If you're interested in postcards and you're interested in the true stories, I have a new book out, Memories from the Future. Now, it is advertised as a novel, but it's based on people who were alive in 1911 that are connected through postcards. It has to be advertised as a novel because there is a twist that makes it fiction, but the plot, the story, follows postcards. And so I've bought postcards, of course, as writing prompts to see what people were doing in this particular area where the novel is set, which is Exmoor. And I've also revealed the history of Exmoor through what people were doing, where they were able to visit. You know, I know where people can go today, but where could you go in 1911? Where was accessible? Because you obviously had places which were owned by different people. You know, the National Trust, Exmoor National Park Authority have all come in much later. So if you're interested in how you can use postcards for that kind of project, have a look. It's available from where you buy books. Also available in the National Park Authority shops on Exmoor as well. I hope you've enjoyed this short video. I'm sure there'll be another one coming along relatively soon.